Good to see you. And I've got Mr. Ray with me, which is really cool. Anyway, I am AKA Heather Joy, and this is the Life Quote. I'm really glad to see everybody.
Shut one of these off. There we go.
What's
better. Oh, I was back feeding because I was watching you on YouTube while watching you on SteamYard at the same time.
Yeah, I've done that many times. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a great Memorial Day. Yeah, I was Tommy was going to be doing an interview tonight, but he's having internet issues. So you get me, and I wasn't really all that prepared for this, but we'll get through it. And I got Mr. Ray May here as backup. So
there you go.
Hey, I'm tickled. Anyway, let me just run through the rules really quick. Let's see. The first one, we don't discuss politics. This isn't a political channel. Occasionally, Tommy will talk about things, and they are definitely appropriate when he does. But other than that, please refrain from discussing that. The second rule is this isn't a religious channel, and it's fine to say things like, I'm going to pray for you, or say things like, I couldn't have found sobriety without God. Those things are fine. But anything that wanders over to the area of, my God is better than your God, or anything like that, absolutely not. And the fourth one, third one. I missed the third one. Please refrain from cursing in the comment section and the live chat. As Tommy always says, if you can't control your mouth, then you can't control your life. And I agree with that. And the fourth one is, there's absolutely no place on this boat for mean people. So if you're a troll, you want to be mean just to be mean, you'll get banned. Honestly, the trolls belong under the bridge where, that Billy Goat Gruff knocked them. So anyway, let's see. Oh, I remember what I was going to show you guys. I wanted to show something really quick. Actually read something, because I'm afraid if I play it, I'll get a copyright strike. I didn't have time to get permission to present it. So I'll just read it, but let me pull some things up here really quick. Let's see.
Yeah, just remember, because it's on YouTube doesn't mean you can show it on your channel.
Yeah. If it's for educational purposes, if you are showing something and then you're going to talk about it, analyze it, whatever, it's supposed to be fine. But boy, people sure get upset about it anyway. Let's see. Where'd it go? Aha, there we go. I don't know if any of you, have you been to the Arlington Cemetery?
In Texas?
In Washington, D.C., the national. No. Oh, my goodness.
I've been to Dallas.
Uh-huh. I haven't been to that one, but I've been to the one in D.C. And, that's this, can you guys see all the, oh, good grief. Why is that not sharing my screen? Let me go back. Something's not right here. Let's see. Cancel that. Pull this up again. Share my screen. Tired. Okay. See that? We'll do. No, I want that one. There we go. That's what I want. I think. Come on. Of course, I can't get it to work now. Okay. Maybe we'll get it now. Let's see. There we go. Did that come up, or is it still not? Okay. I'm trying here to pull up some of the pictures.
Just don't put your web browser history really. No, just kidding.
That one, yeah, it'd be scary, huh?
Make sure you don't have any personal information going on right now. I'm just saying.
Yep. Oh my word! Why won't this? This is being difficult. Let's see. I'm trying to find. I had some really awesome pictures. Would pull the whole screen. Um, hmm, it's funny. Anyway, if you have been to the cemetery in DC, it is an experience just to be there. It's it's something else. Um, there's something about that place when you get, you know, maybe, I don't know, hundreds of yards before you get to it. There's a feeling that comes over you in this place. You just know it's someplace very special. It's very sacred, and you automatically turn the volume on your voice down. You just become. It's just an instant thing. You feel very reverent when you're there.
Yeah, it gives you a true perspective of how many people actually die in a war.
Yeah. Okay. This is what I wanted to read to you guys right here. This is. I wish I could have played it because Jocko Willink that used to be Navy SEAL, and he does podcasts. He was reading this, but I just wanted to read this. I can't do it like he did, but I watched this earlier today, and it put me in tears. It says, I am the one that held the line. Sometimes I volunteered. Sometimes I went because I was told to go. When the nation called, I answered. In order to serve, I left behind the family, friends, and freedom that so many take for granted. Over time, I used different weapons: a sword, a musket, a bayonet, a rifle, a machine gun. Often, I marched into battle on foot. Other times, I rode to battle on horseback or in wagons, sometimes on trains, later in tanks or jeeps or Humvees. In early wars, my ships were made of wood and powered by the wind. Later, they were made of steel and powered by diesel fuel or the atom. I even took to the air and mastered the sky in planes, helicopters, and jets. The machines of war evolved and changed with the times. But remember that it was always me, the warrior, that had to fight our nation's enemies. I fought at Lexington and Concord as our nation was born. I crossed the Delaware on Christmas Day in 1776. In the Civil War, I fought with my brothers and against my brothers at Gettysburg and Shiloh and Bull Run. I learned that we must never again divide. In World War I, I marched on the Marne and held the line at Below Wood, the war to end all wars, they called it. I just called it hell. In World War II, I fought everywhere: the beaches of Normandy, the Battle of the Bulge, the hell of the Guadalcanal. I stood against tyranny and kept darkness from consuming the world. In Korea, I landed at Incheon and broke out of the Chosin River reservoir. They called it the Forgotten War, but I never forgot. In Vietnam, I fought in the Mekong Delta at the Khe Son and Hamburger Hill. Some say my country wavered, but I did not waver, ever. In the recent past, I have fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, in Baghdad, Fallujah, Ramadi, in Kunar, Helmand, and Kandahar. As technology advanced, I used night vision goggles and global positioning systems and drones and lasers and thermal optics. But it was still me, a human being, that did the work. It was me that patrolled up the mountains or across the desert or through the streets. It was me that suffered in merciless heat and bitter cold. It was me that went out night after night to confront our nation's enemies and confront evil face to face. It was me. Remember me. I was a warrior. But also remember that I was not only a warrior. Remember also that I was a son, a brother, a father. I was a daughter, a sister, a mother. I was a person like you, a real person with hopes and dreams for the future. I wanted to have children. I wanted to see my son score a touchdown or shoot the winning basket. I wanted to walk my daughter down the aisle. I wanted to kiss my wife again. When I told her I would be with her until the end, I meant it. When I told my children I would always be there for them, I meant it. But I gave all that away, all of it, on the distant battlefield amongst the fear and the fire and the bullets, or in the sky above enemy territory filled with flak, or on the unforgiving seas where we fought against the enemy and against the depths of the abyss. There in those awful places, I held the line. I did not waver and I did not hesitate. I, the soldier, sailor, airman, or marine, I stood my ground and sacrificed my life, my future, my hopes, my dreams. I sacrificed everything for you. This Memorial Day, remember me, the fallen warrior, and remember me not for my sake, but for yours. Remember what I sacrificed so you can truly appreciate the incredible treasures you have: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. You have the joys of life, the joys that I gave up so you can relish in them. A cool wind in the air, the gentle spring grass on your bare feet, the warm summer sun on your face, family, friends, and freedom. Never forget where it all came from. It came from sacrifice, the supreme sacrifice. Live a life that honors us, the fallen heroes. Remember us and make every day Memorial Day. Sorry, I always get teary eyed. Let's see, did I? Okay. Am I back up yet? Okay, there we go. All right. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I was raised to be a patriot. There's always an American flag hanging out in the front of my house. It doesn't it doesn't go down. I mean, I just had to change it because the other one got pretty torn up from the wind. But I mean, I
And not the Second Amendment flag that's on your wall behind you either.
no, nope, not that one. But this is, we are so. I know that not all of us that are listening are in the United States, but every country that we come from, there are people that sacrifice their lives so that we can enjoy the lives that we have. And that's an incredible gift. And I keep thinking about today, I've been thinking about the founding fathers. When each of them signed the Declaration of Independence, they signed their death warrant. If America had lost the war, they would have lost their lives. Their families most likely would have been killed. They put everything on the line. They believed so much in what they did. They put their lives on the line, and I'm very grateful for that. And I just wanted to take a minute and remember them. Okay. Anyway, um, I wanted to talk today for a little bit about cognitive behavioral therapy. Um, you know, it's it's similar to, we had talked last week about dialectical behavioral therapy, and I always, for me, cognitive behavioral therapy, I always found it much more helpful for me. But everybody's different, so everybody, you're not, what might work for me is not necessarily going to work for you. And so that's, this is just another option, for help that's available. Is your Mr. Avery, your mic is off, so when you speak, I don't think people can hear you. Let's see.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I just
Okay,
turned
there
it
you
off
are. Oh,
when
you
you're
turned it
talking.
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
I'm sorry.
sometimes I talk to myself and I just don't want to embarrass myself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'll flip it back off then. I didn't know
No,
if
no,
you
I,
knew
I
it was off. See, now I cut him out. Now I can. Here we go.
sorry.
Okay, there you're back
Okay,
up.
I won't touch the door handle. Unlock the
I'm
door.
sorry.
I'll sit on the curb. Unlock the door. No,
I
I'm
just didn't
joking.
know if people could hear you or not. Anyway, um, so I I I've always been, like I said, I've always found a lot of help with cognitive behavioral therapy. So what is it? Oh boy, that's a long explanation there, but we'll get started on it. um, It's a psychosocial intervention. It's talk therapy. um, it's the form that it comes in is, the end goal is supposed to help you identify negative emotions, negative thoughts, but identify the patterns. If you can identify them, and realize when you're doing them, then you can change your distorted thoughts, and change your behavior. um, it is, let's see. Okay, you know how I always talk about how the body, the spirit, the mind, everything is connected, and if there's something going on in one of them, it's going to affect the others. If it, like I have chronic pain all the time with fibromyalgia, and physically, if I have a bad flare and I've had days on end where I just can't get out of pain, it affects me mentally. I mean, it really, and spiritually. I mean, it really pulls me down. And this is a very similar, the same thing, except that the interconnectedness here are your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors. If one is affected, it affects the others as well, and that's kind of um, the basic idea behind cognitive behavioral therapy. Uh, it's actually one of the most effective treatments for substance abuse, and it's very good if you're dealing with addiction, and you also are dealing with anxiety or depression or obsessive compulsive disorder or bipolar, whatever. If you've got a comorbid uh, problem, mental illness that's going on with your addiction, this is something that's very effective. The goal here is, you know, to investigate the relationship, between your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors, and to identify the negative thought patterns is usually where they start. If you can identify the negative thought patterns, um, you can learn to interrupt the cycles of the mental distress that usually result from the behavior that results from the negative thought.
Is that go to
Um,
like self awareness?
mhm. Oh yeah, definitely. Um, let's see, and like I said, that another reason this I think is so helpful is because you're looking at your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and how they're all connected. But that's how you experience your world, is through those areas. Your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors. Um, they really do shape how we experience our world. And I mean, this can help with just a number of things: anxiety, depression, like I said, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress, obsessive compulsive disorder, eating disorders, substance abuse, grief, different phobias. I mean, this helps with all of those things. And sometimes that term CBD, excuse me, CBT,
You did it
not
too.
CBD. Yeah, I did it too. Yeah, I will be doing one on CBD, by the way.
There you go.
But I've actually been working on one for kind of a cannabis 101, and I'm still working on it because I'm getting all kinds of things that I'm putting together like a PowerPoint and everything to
Yeah,
go on with it. So still working on it. But
there
anyway,
you go.
the CBT. Is really useful as well. It's something that they really therapists find very useful because it doesn't require any kind of equipment or anything like that. It doesn't you aren't relying on just taking a course of medication and hoping that it will pull you out of
Yeah,
depression. A lot of times, if you are seeing a psychiatrist for a mental illness and they put you on a medication, they really recommend going to therapy and learning cognitive behavioral therapy, and using them hand in hand, because that can be very, very successful. But I was looking through the research and the latest numbers. It was hard to find stuff today because I was
yeah.
having internet issues today too. But so I wasn't able to pull up the stats like I wanted to. But I'm going off of a lot of old notes because I used to, and I had a workbook. I had this wonderful workbook that I used for years. Um, that really explained each of the different techniques that they use. And you can, I mean, this is something that you need to practice. And so I had this workbook just full of all kinds of different thoughts that I was, trying to correct and everything. But I lent it to someone, and I can't remember who I lent it to. And I'm just kicking myself now because I have no idea where it went. And there was so much information in that workbook. Anyway, what I did find today, though, is that CBT is as effective, or sometimes even more so, than other forms of psychological therapy and psych meds. I mean, it's highly helpful if
It's helped
if
me a
you
lot as a
use
child.
it.
They
So
used
so
that
you
on me
know.
for years.
Oh wow. So okay, I'm so
Exposure,
glad you're here then.
exposure therapy, the whole
Yeah.
shebang. I used to have. They
Wow.
used to thought I had Tourette's because I had stuttering problems and things like that.
Uh
And
huh.
a lot of those disorders were mixed up with being just obsessive compulsive, having like looping thoughts and
Uh
things.
huh.
And they would be things like if I didn't check the door handle 7 times, I would have
Mm-hmm.
like anxiety, like abnormal anxiety.
I've
So one of
Yep.
those things was to basically I kept my door unlocked, turned on the coffee maker on purpose, and went to the store.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
then
that's huge
and
too.
when I came back and my house wasn't robbed and the house wasn't burned down, my brain started
Hmm.
rewiring itself and realizing, okay, hey, this is okay. Nothing
Yeah,
bad is going to happen to you if this happens.
that's a big part of it. It really helps you to, look at your negative thoughts, your distorted thinking, and start to see that it's actually distorted. Like you said, you came home and you realized, okay, the house didn't burn down, I wasn't robbed, and I'm okay. It's okay. Yeah, I mean that is huge too. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
that is a
suggest.
huge deal to be
I
able to
mean,
do that.
if you're germophobic, I wouldn't go out and suggest licking trash cans or anything. But
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
but just take little steps.
Yeah. Oh, I am so tickled that you are on today
Oh
then,
yeah.
and you've had experience with this, because yeah, I have always found it very helpful, and I love coming back to it because I'd forgotten so much of this. I had to read through all of this again, and then I used to teach this in groups, as a psych nurse, and I don't remember. It's been years, so this is good for me, to look through this again. But um
I think
I
the
was
core
I
basis to it is to confront your fears and confront the things that you
mm,
have dealt with in your life. And when you confront them and you realize, okay, they're either not as bad as what I thought they were, or I can talk about it so it gives it off my chest
mhm.
and therefore makes it better either
Yep.
way.
Yep. Yeah. Either way, it helps, doesn't it? And it's good stuff. It really is. Um, it does. It leads to significant improvement. In your overall functioning. Like if you were struggling with obsessive compulsive disorder, that can be absolutely debilitating.
Oh, I was my worst
Um,
enemy.
yeah.
I have that misophonia where is my hearing is wired to my brain to where if I hear noises, it triggers that flight or fight
Oh.
response.
Uh huh.
So when I was a kid, people would eat with their forks and silverware and make smacking noises and stuff,
Mm.
which would send me into a rage, an
Oh
absolute
no.
rage. I mean, it was pretty bad with me.
Wow.
So I still have that. I just have a better ability to ignore it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
identify it being self-aware,
Hmm.
and then just you know don't cater into it.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So this has really helped you then, this type of therapy. That's awesome. And I'm so tickled that you said that you had this treatment when you were a kid.
Yeah, this was back like
That's awesome.
just shortly after they quit like electroshocking people and put them in ice baths and doing all that quackery stuff that they did back in the early 80s. I was absolutely lucky that the people who were basically who led this type of research and stuff, I met them and it's like when they were young.
Oh, really?
So because of having all these people around me, when as soon as I would get off course or get out of, off track in life, I had the people around me to nudge me back into the right direction.
Hmm.
So, I mean, my life isn't perfect, obviously, but I'm still alive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm tickled too that you were getting help as a kid too. That's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, so many of us needed it and didn't get it, and
Yeah, I
we
was
and everyone around us paid
yeah.
the price for
Yeah,
it.
I was basically from the not well, now it's Adderall, but back then it was what was that stuff that they gave
Ritalin,
you? Ritalin. I was back in the Ritalin
Ritalin,
day.
yeah.
Oh, your kid's lazy. Give him Ritalin. Oh, your kid's too hyper. Give
Ah,
him Ritalin. Oh, your
yeah.
kid can't pay attention. Give him Ritalin. Your kid wore
God,
two wrong colored shoes. Give him Ritalin. You know?
which is exactly what you don't want to do. Honestly, I mean, I think there are cases when that can help,
Yeah,
but so often, it's a condition you most likely are going to be dealing with your entire life. I personally think it's better to learn how to deal with it instead of just taking a pill and masking it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And a lot of times the problem exists because of something that happened or didn't happen in that first 7 years of life. That's kind of when all of your patterns, your behavior patterns, your thought patterns are set.
yeah. Hey, false
And
memories are still real to you.
mhm, yep, that's so true. Let's see. Anyway,
But
okay.
yeah, okay. Sorry.
Oh no, I was like, I better
I just
jump back
wanted to
on my
add.
notes.
Yeah, yeah. You get on your notes. I just wanted to add that in.
No, I love this. I am so tickled that you jumped on and that you have experience with this. This is great. Um, let's see, where was I? Oh, anyway, there's a lot of evidence that this type of therapy, really can bring change. I mean, really makes a difference, and more than any other type of psychological therapy, this is the one that is the most helpful. There are, but well, let's see. I'm sure I wrote that down. Let me see. One of the things that is really good about this type of therapy is it doesn't you don't spend so much time going back into your childhood, or back into past things that where the issues began. I mean, of course, it's important that if you go to a therapist that you talk about those things, but this type of therapy is more for the here and now, for dealing with the issues that you have now. Um, and I personally too, I have found that this was something that kind of got me through and taught me how to deal with life until I could start dealing with all of the past stuff. Um, I've done a lot of interpersonal therapy, a lot of what they call shadow work and things, and I'm still doing things, from trying to deal with stuff from my past. But learning these skills, really helped me just to get on with life. And so that's another reason why I really like this one. I know sometimes they use cognitive behavioral therapy as kind of a catch-all term, and they will throw in other types. Like the dialectical behavioral therapy we're talking about last week. They'll even throw that one in. So sometimes, if you hear people talking about it, you might want to clarify and say, okay, exactly what type are you talking about? Because this is a combination of, cognitive therapy, working with your thoughts and your behavior. It brings it together. And usually, um, you're trying to the efforts that go into this are to change your thinking patterns, is usually what it is. And I've talked, in fact, last time I was on, I talked about, that first 7 years of life. That's when so much of your programming, the way that your mind and the way you work, goes off of that first 7 years. And so if there was something, that wasn't right, it's going to take some time to correct that. But this is a good place to start. Um, and they had three core principles that they kind of based this type of therapy on. The first one is that psychological problems are based in part, on faulty or unhelpful modes of thinking. So, distorted thinking. In Mr. Ray, in your case, it was you, were struggling with, things like locking doors and leaving the coffee pot on and things like that. You know,
Well, that
um,
was just a scratch in the surface.
yeah.
There's a lot more stuff.
Yeah, there usually is, isn't there? Darn it! But
Yeah, I just try
um,
to keep it PG.
oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah, that tells me you've been through all kinds of awful stuff. I'm really sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
it's dang.
Well,
But
it's
you're still here, and look, you're on the lifeboat, so you
that's it.
want to get rid of your addictions, and I mean, you're trying. This is awesome. I am so tickled. Tell you what, and I know I've said this before, but the caliber of people that I meet that are fellow recovering addicts, you guys are the best, the kindest, the most understanding. You know what it's like to hurt, and so you know what it means to have help, and you have a better idea of how to help. I don't know. I I just I'm just going off of experience, but honestly, the caliber of people that I meet that are recovering addicts are some of the strongest, best people ever.
Because we got real life experience.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. Oh boy, I got off on a tangent. Anyway, the
That's all right.
second core
I'm good at doing
principle.
that.
Oh, I am too. Let's see. Anyway, the second core principle that this is kind of based on is that psychological problems stem in part too from the learned patterns of behavior, um, especially those that you learn in the first 7 years. And then the third one is that people suffering with psychological problems, they can learn better ways of coping and get relief from their symptoms. These are basic principles, but when they're basic, they're easy to understand and they work. So I really always like this one. Um, there are many different strategies that they use, and that would take to get into specifics would take a long time. And honestly, I would only be able to spend um, like an hour on maybe one or two of them at a time. So this is kind of an overview of it. I just want people to know what is available and what you might be getting into if you are looking into therapy. Um, the strategies that they use for changing your thinking patterns um, would be things like first of all, learning how to recognize your distorted thinking. And Mr. Ray, how you were saying, in your case, as far as the example that you gave us with um, your thinking was distorted because you were worried, you were so worried about leaving a coffee pot on or leaving the house, and you were, I guess, what maybe the distortion was that the world is a lot scarier place than it really is. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, and that,
Something.
and then a lot of it's just irrational anxiety.
Yeah, irrational. Yeah.
It just
That would.
it just be like it start off just as a thought, and then five
Uh-huh.
seconds later it's just be like you have to pause your life and deal with it, or you can't move on. So
Yeah.
so it's just irrational anxiety.
Yeah. So, when you can identify, like for you, it took leaving the coffee pot on and leaving the house and everything, and then coming back and seeing that everything was still okay.
Exactly.
It took that for you to start to identify where the distortion was. Does that make sense? Is that?
Yeah, but the very first step is you got to be self-aware of it.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
uncle had a lot of the same problems as I did, and a lot of my dad, and my aunts, and it's almost like mental illness is hereditary somehow. But
Oh, it is.
don't quote
It
me on that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, my uncles and my father, they were born in the 50s and 40s, and they didn't have what they have today to identify it.
yeah.
So my uncle, he would have facial tics and things like that, and never knew he had them. Even when
Huh.
you brought him up, say, why do you wiggle your nose like that? What do you mean I wiggle my nose?
Yeah. See, yeah, he wasn't. He had no idea he was
Yeah,
even doing
and
it.
even when people tell him, it's just he was not ever self-aware. Didn't have that ability to be
Wow.
self-aware of it. So you
Uh-huh.
definitely have to be self-aware, and then also be willing to deal with it.
Yeah. Yep. That's key right there. Those two things, like you just said, wow, those are key. If you don't want to make the change, honestly, it's a waste of money. If in the end you don't want to, if you. But I have always found that with cognitive behavioral therapy, it always helped to for me to see a therapist because um, they can identify and they can pick out your distorted thinking or the things that you're doing. Like it was your uncle that was having the ticks,
Oh yeah,
the facial ticks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I moved to Hawaii to help him move back to the mainland. He had a job as a quality control manager for the NSA, and I was up there
Wow.
for a few years. I even went, speaking of Memorial Day, I even went to one of those World War II memorials at Pearl Harbor, the last one,
Mm.
and it was the only one in every 23 years that happens actually on a Sunday.
Oh wow! On the day
Yeah, so
that it happened.
there was only like 19 of those guys left. But I did go see the
Wow.
Arizona because being from
Wow.
Arizona, you have to go see the USS Arizona.
There you
And then
go.
I saw the Missouri, saw the plaque where they signed the surrender things and all that good stuff.
My goodness.
So it was
That's
neat.
awesome.
Who can say
That's
they lived in Hawaii for 2 years for free?
wow. That's pretty nice.
So, but I did have to live with a really OCD of uncle. So I paid it in in different ways.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you were saying that people had to point out to him that he had facial tics.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you are really struggling with negative thoughts and negative behaviors, it's I personally think it's a really good idea to even just have a few sessions with a therapist because then they can listen to you and watch you and they can point out things that you have no idea you're doing, you know because there are certain thought patterns and behavior patterns that are set in our minds when we're very very young, and that's all we know, and that's the only way that we've been functioning. We don't know any other way. We're not most likely not going to see that something that we're thinking is not quite right, that it's distorted. So I but I've also found that once you get an idea of the negative thoughts that you are having and the behavior patterns that you have because of those, once you have an idea of the ones that you're doing, I have found that journaling and doing workbooks and practicing the different principles of cognitive behavioral therapy, once I knew what they were, then I could take care of a lot of it on my own. But it does require a lot of work. You've got, you know, um, but I would, if you're struggling, with some negative thoughts and behaviors and you're having a hard time, this is a good way to get some of the skills that you need to deal with them in a better way. It really is helpful. um,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't mean to interrupt you. It was
you're
just
just fine.
it was what you're saying is like it's like you get this thought in your head, and it starts off as just a small thought, like somebody like cut you off in traffic, and you're just like, oh, they just cut me off, and you're just, you're a little irked, right? Then as you're
Yep.
driving home, he's like, oh man, that guy looked at me funny. Oh man, I think he might have flipped me off. Oh man, so by the time you get to your house, that guy just ruined your whole day.
Hmm.
And it's those looping thoughts that make something that's no big deal into something that's just end of the world,
Yeah.
and that's what it's what CRT. I had to say it slow. I didn't want to make. That's what that kind of stuff helps, and
Yeah.
obviously humor.
Yep. Yep.
So anyway, sorry, I
Oh,
didn't mean to get you off
no,
on a
you
tangent
don't
or off track.
apologize. I'm tickled that you're here. This is wonderful. You know,
I
this
mean,
is great because you're helping me explain.
uh,
I sometimes I struggle trying to put what's here into words, and
yeah.
you know,
It's like that.
and,
It's like that. Was it that thing where the Obama's translator with Key and Pill? You ever seen
oh
that?
yes,
I kind of be that for you.
yep, I love it.
This is what Heather Joy's really trying to say.
There
I'm
you
just,
go. I
I'm
love it.
just.
Hey, I love it. So yeah, don't apologize. If you have something to add, please,
Okay.
please add it because this helps. That's awesome. Um, let's see. Oh, okay. I was talking about learning strategies. So learning how to recognize your distorted thinking and reevaluate that thinking. Looking at it in a different light. That's one of the strategies that they use, and again, just one of the reasons why I think this type of therapy is so helpful is because if you have a therapist, that he's that's got neutral eyes, that that it's a lot easier for them to see the things that you're doing. Because we get so wrapped up in negative thoughts and the emotions that go along with them that it really is hard to tell them apart. Which is the thought and which is the emotion, and I don't know. Yeah, a neutral pair of eyes is always helpful. But the another strategy that they use in changing your thinking would be gaining a better understanding of other people's behavior and motivations. Sometimes that can be very helpful. Another thing that they often use, um, sorry, one of the other strategies that they're trying to do is learning to develop more confidence in your abilities. That is one of the strategies that is behind it as well. But that is, let's see, I'm just looking at my notes here. But it also helps you change your behavioral patterns, not just your thinking. Um, as far as the behavior, sorry, the strategies that they use behind the behavior part, some of them would be, let's see, facing your own fears, which is what you brought up, facing your own fears rather than just avoiding the fears. And you were speaking of, what's the term, desensitization. That's not the
Being self-aware,
um no, when you're dealing with a phobia, I'm trying to think of the term that you used.
anxiety.
um when you're dealing with that, um you you're exposing yourself
Oh yeah, exposing your thinking,
your fear. You're exposing yourself
facing your
to,
fears.
yes, thank you. That's what I
Okay,
was
sorry.
trying to say. I'll just dance around the bush.
Hey, well, according to my avatar, I'm a talking cactus, so hey,
There you go.
I'm the talking lifeboat cactus. You ever wonder what the lifeboat cactus talks about? Here you go. No,
I love it.
I'm joking. Sorry.
I love it. Hey, hun, I'm sorry. I'm just talking about the guy that found
I don't know
the
if
the
Tommy's rolling his
cactus.
eyes or laughing.
He's on there with me right now. The guy that found the cat. I was telling my husband how you went out and found that. I just thought it was cool. Anyway, let's see. So, um, like I was saying, one of the strategies as far as changing your behavioral patterns would be of facing your fears. And as addicts, what have we done for so long? We've avoided that, as much as possible with our jug of choice. Whether it's to feel something different or just to not feel anything at all, but whatever that is, we've been avoiding it, and this is a good a good thing, to face those fears rather than just numbing them or not feeling them at all. Another thing that they use, another strategy as far as changing your addiction, and this one I never had fun with, but they do a lot of role playing. Did you find when you were going through cognitive behavioral therapy that you did a lot of role playing?
Yeah, they would do that, and then they would do like art therapy as well,
Hmm.
where they'd put like the plaster of Paris mask on you, and then you take it off and paint it, and then they'd ask you
Oh,
like,
you did that too? I did
yeah,
that in rehab.
how does that make you feel? It's like, I don't know, the Vaseline on my face, it makes me feel real sticky and slick. And I
That
think you
was
tore
not,
half
yeah.
my eyebrows off.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
why is this straw still stuck up my nose?
That wasn't, yeah, that was not a fun activity. I did not enjoy that one. Oh goodness. But and yeah, they do a lot of role playing though, where they will um boy, I don't know if I want to jump into that one or not, just because it might take a long time to
Uh,
explain. But
they
but
role
it's a
play it.
good.
I can explain it real quick. They role play it
Okay.
so where they make you a role play to where you can be like to give you the teaching tools to start being self aware of what's going on with yourself.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they'll put you in a role playing situation where you act like you're the thing that's able to identify what's wrong with you, and then by doing that, later on you can actually identify what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like a
There's a,
setup.
yeah, and it is good to practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is, and they'll give you all kinds of different situations too, and practice through them. And I always just felt stupid, if they, when if we had a group therapy and we had to role play. I don't know why, but I hated it, just hated it, and I do it, just because I knew I needed to. But it always bothered me. I always enjoyed it a lot more writing it out in my journal. Um, I don't know, that's just the way I am. But
Is it just
it
because of
is
being in front of all those other people, it just kind of made you have anxiety?
maybe I
And this is stupid, kind of like
I
feeling
don't know. Yeah, I just it felt like I don't know.
awkward,
It just felt,
cringe.
yeah, yeah. I never liked it. I just every
Yeah,
time they were, oh, we're gonna do some role playing, I go, oh, not again.
right.
But it was helpful, and the end. I think the end thing that they are shooting for is they're trying to teach you how to be your own therapist. In the end, where if you can start to identify the negative thoughts, if your thinking's a little distorted, it's going to affect your how you're feeling and how you're behaving. And if you can identify those thoughts, then you can change everything else. So that was how it was explained to me a long time ago. We're teaching you how to be your own therapist, and I thought, okay. But it does help. It really does. Um, another strategy that they use as far as the changing behavior patterns is just learning how to calm your mind down and relax your body. When you experience anxiety, you hold a lot of that in. um, and so that's really important to calm the thoughts down in your mind, and then relax your body too. That's huge. Now, if you uh, if you are start using cognitive behavioral therapy, with a therapist, um, you're not necessarily going to use all of those strategies. It's a very flexible thing, and it can be tailored to exactly what you need, which is really really nice. Um, there, let's see. Like I said, okay, yeah, there's a lot of emphasis put on learning the skills that you need to be your own therapist. And in a session as well as at home, you can practice those skills through role playing or through a lot of journaling. And I always found out, for me personally, that was very helpful, the journaling part. But you're developing coping skills to change your thinking, and that changes the the negative emotions and the negative behaviors that you're having. It and it really is focused kind of on what is currently going on in your life. Um, let's see.
And sometimes saying it out loud, even if nobody can hears it, helps a lot too.
Yes, yeah. It's. I think it's that. Um, I think it's moving the thoughts from the emotional part of your brain to the rational part of your brain, and then speaking it and hearing it and listening to what you're saying. Um, it's when you start to go, wait a minute, you start to see where you might be thinking, where your thinking might be a little distorted, a little off. Um, let's see. I mean, what else did I write down here? But it's a good way to move forward, because you're learning different things to help you cope with life. And I wanted to give some examples of um, some of the things that you might be doing. Um, one of the really popular techniques, and I'm sure you remember this one, is SMART goals. Um, SMART being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time limited goals. I mean, that's one of the techniques that they use. Another one is they'll use guided discovery and questioning. And by questioning the assumptions that you have about yourself or about your current situation, um, then you can start to challenge the thoughts and consider different ways of looking at it. And I think that activity where I keep coming back to it, but it was so good, where you purposely left the coffee pot on, and
Yeah.
you've left the house, you've left everything, and it gave you a chance to, you were making some assumptions about the world,
And
and
it was yeah, but it was more like just the anxiety. It was more not I was worried somebody's well, it was that, but it was more like I was worried. I don't know. It's just irrational anxiety. Like the
mhm,
fact that I left it on, the fact that I left it unlocked, brought me anxiety. Not for any consequential reasons why. It was just like, oh my god, I left
mhm.
this on, or left this unlocked. You know. So that
You
I don't know that in itself. I don't know. It's like I said, it's irrational anxiety, but it's real to me, or it
mhm.
was.
Yeah, oh, it feels very real, and your body responds
Yeah,
accordingly. Your heart rate will shoot up, your cortisol, your adrenals will start pumping out cortisol, and you have all
yeah.
of those chemical
And that's got
changes.
to be
And
bad for long term health.
it is. It really is. It's not good. That's why they so much of therapy these days, from what I have seen, is spent on stress reduction because of what it does to your health. Um, I think that a lot of physicians are finally figuring that out as well. That the your mental health has definite long term effects on your
You know?
physical health. But
Well, it's like it's like for an example, like I've been practicing on breathing exercises lately and stuff for when I start to feel like I have a panic attack.
hmm
And those things are those things are terrible. The only thing I can
hmm
describe it to people is the closest you can come to dying without actually dying.
yes, exactly.
And then
It does. It feels like you are going to die. It's
you know
terrifying.
as a, but then when you start like being self-aware of it, okay, my hands are starting to close up because I'm getting hypoxia. I'm starting to see tunnel vision. I'm starting to get like numb and clammy skin. I'm starting to hyperventilate. I can start
hmm
to feel my heart starting to beat on the fast side, but then I'm like, okay, that's when I'm aware of that, and then I start doing the breathing exercises, and then eventually the rest of it just kind of tones down. So
hmm
that's a good example of using the CRT method into doing things like helping you with panic attacks and things like that.
Yeah, and that's such a good skill to have, because if any of you have had struggle with anxiety and you get panic attacks, they can come out of nowhere. It because you never know what might trigger something, and they'll come out of nowhere, and that's a really good one to have. to be able to calm yourself down when you're having one. They're not fun. It's been a while since I've had one, but I yeah, they're not fun at all. But,
Yeah. And what makes it
not
even worse with my situation is I went to the ER and they said I had a spectral myocardial infarction of undetermined age. So imagine having that with a panic attack disorder. Like, am
wow.
I really having a heart attack or is it just all in my head? And
Mm,
then you have to play on that, and then you have to go, okay, well maybe it's just a panic attack, but still you never know.
yeah, yeah.
So that doesn't really help. But anyway,
That's not.
sorry.
Yeah. No,
I digress.
you're just fine. You're just fine. Um, let's see. Another thing that they're going to have you do a lot of the time is some journaling where you're going to jot down, your negative beliefs, and once they're down on paper, and especially at first, you might not even be able to see um, where you're distorting, where your distortions are coming in. But once you are, like you were saying, about being self-aware, once you can start to become aware of the things you're doing, it's a good way to get into the things that you need to fix. But journaling is a big part of it. There's a lot of self-talk, and they'll challenge you to replace the negative self-talk that you're telling yourself, to replace it with positive things. There's another thing they call cognitive restructuring, where you look at the different cognitive distortions that are affecting the way you're thinking. Like an example would be like black and white thinking, or all or nothing thinking. That can be a problem, or jumping to conclusions before you've had a chance to look at the whole thing. Catastrophizing is another one, but you're trying to restructure the way that you're thinking. Um, Thought recording is another technique. There's situation exposure, which we talked a little bit about. Where you do the desensitization. There's a lot of awesome techniques that are part of it. And wow, I can't believe it's 7 already. Good grief!
I have that effect on people. I can make an hour, not enough time.
Hey, no, it's all good. I just wanted to give kind of an overview of what you might expect, but cognitive behavioral therapy is very helpful. Um, Personally, that's gotten me. That's why I'm still alive, between the medications and and the therapy. I'm still here. I'm still functioning, but I don't know. I Because of the head injury that I received when I was a kid in that accident, it's really messed things up in my head. And
Right.
I've tried, I can't get by without an antidepressant. I have to,
No.
every year I have to change it, because they kind of lose their effectiveness. And I can always go back to an old one later. But I just found that, between medication and the cognitive behavioral therapy, that's been very powerful
Well,
for
there's
me.
never just any one single fix all. It's an actual what's helped me is a combination of
Mhm.
everything and keeping an open mind.
Yeah. Oh, you brought up so many good points tonight. I'm so glad. Thank you for jumping up on here. I thank you that
Oh.
man, you nailed them.
So, well,
That's
I
awesome.
didn't nail them. I lived them. So
Oh
you know,
goodness.
yeah.
And,
That's one of my friends today. Speaking of Memorial Day, he was a Marine and he got into a non-combat head injury while he was in the Marines, and he
mhm.
later on developed a really bad dissociative disorder, and because of his head injury, and ended up committing suicide by cop because of it.
Oh dear,
So
I'm
I have
sorry.
his Marine Corps hats just sitting right on top of my computer. So
Oh wow.
it's the third memorial, yeah, third one that he's been passed. He died at 29 years of age in
Wow.
2018 or 19. Man, when time flies, you just all
Oh.
those details just kind of blur out.
Oh, I am really sorry to hear that. Man, that's
But
hard.
I'm still
Mm,
alive. I still got to live the rest of my life. So
yeah.
you remember all those people. You remember all the good times, and try to make the best of it because we're all gonna leave the same way we came in this world, naked and screaming.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my
Yep.
that's my that's my 2 cents on the top of the hour.
I love it. Well, thank you, Mr. Barry, for coming
Yeah, no
up. I
problem.
really, really appreciate that. And like I said, I just wanted to kind of give an overview of what it is. If you guys want to know more, I mean, I can definitely um, come up, talk about some of the specific things that they use. If you guys want to know more, but anyway, there you go. That's what I have for tonight. And I just want to say hi to everybody in chat. We got Lady Spellbreaker in Virginia, and Seventh Son, Todd G, Lemmy. Did I say
Lemmy.
Virginia? Miss Dragon is here, and let's see, Charles McClellan and M Hunt. I'm so glad that
Oh,
everybody is.
there's Leisure. I tried calling him a couple
Oh,
days ago,
Leisure.
but
Oh, he's here. I didn't see him.
I think he might
Oh,
have been asleep
good.
when I called him.
Ah, I
All
hope
right,
he's doing
my
well.
phone number changes all the time. He probably didn't know who I am. He's like, "Who's this telemarketer?" I don't know this 520 area code.
Oh goodness. Let's see. John Doe. Well, I'm glad that Leisure was here. I didn't see him. Dennis N. Barela. Oh my goodness, Barela. I haven't seen you in a while. Glad he's here. Let's see. Please forgive me if I missed anybody.
Oh, you can't forget the
Um,
seventh son.
no, no. He's got
That
all
would
the
that
good
would be
stuff.
blasphemy. Or
I know. And is Charlie here?
yeah,
Charlie Mullins is here. I didn't. I know Charles McClellan's
no,
here. I haven't seen.
that's what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen
He's probably jumped on Johnny's channel.
Charlie. That could be, but I think he. And it seems like Charlie Mullins ends up working on holidays and weekends too, so he might
And then
not
you
be
can't forget Miss V
here. No, not even. No, I can't forget
and
her.
Full Hope and
And full of hope,
Tachi
and
and
and Jennifer Rice. Let's see. I guess that's. Oh, what happened?
Dennis in
Anyway, if I
and the
got
rest of
him.
them.
Anyway, if I missed you, Chili Phil and Cindy Party, and of course we've got Mr. Ray Ray right here, Monk Searcher. Anyway, Noise Opera. Hey.
And the noise
Anyway,
opera.
I thank you guys for checking in here, and and thank you for participating in the chat. That's where a lot of times you get to know people, and they get to know you, and you get a lot of help there. So thank you everybody for
And I sorry,
coming
one
here.
last thing.
And
I actually met Leisure in Colorado.
oh, really?
Yeah, I visited him.
So, and
Pretty
he's in
cool.
Colorado.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to Colorado Springs, not
you'd
this
be
weekend,
really
but the
close.
next weekend. Will I?
Gotta, you gotta go visit Mr.
I'm
Leisure
gonna.
then.
Yes, I was. If there's anyone else in that here's tonight, that is close to Colorado Springs, and you want to visit from a nutty lady, I gladly come and say hi. Yeah, Leisure. If you can reach out to me, my email. Um, yeah, I would love to come and say hello. Yeah, we're gonna be doing Spartan races. That weekend is my husband's birthday on the 11th. I'll be there. Yeah, let's see the what days. It'll be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday anyway. But I'll be around. So yeah, if there's any Colorado people, speak up. I love to meet. I've met Tommy so far. That's
Yeah.
where I've met somebody face to face. I would love to actually meet. I wish we could have like a big retreat, and have everybody there and we can all meet up. Oh, that'd be awesome to meet everybody. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great evening. You know, enjoy it because we all start work. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us start work again in the morning. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great night. And Mr. Ray Ray, thank you so much
You're
for
very
coming.
welcome.
It's
I
been
gotta say, this is
awesome.
Mr. Ray Ray, and this is the Lifeboat Cactus. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep, and it is. I
He's
love
just.
it.
I always tell people I know what's on the other side of the picture, but I'll never tell. You'll
You'll
never know.
tell.
If
Oh,
I swing the
goodness.
picture backwards, like where Tommy's looking,
Uh-huh.
and take a picture of that, that'd be kind of funny. Anyway, sorry. I
Well,
digress.
thank you. Thank you again. I appreciate it. And you guys have a great night. And I don't know if I will see you guys again in the morning or tomorrow evening, but yeah, I'll be around. Anyway, have a great night. We'll
You
talk
as
to you
well.
guys later.
Laters.